Hello, welcome to One Old Man's Opinion, episode 18. Going to be 3 fairly short segments this time. The first one is on Jesus' birthday? You mean it's not on December 25th? Oh my. I'll adjust my chapeau here. No. We don't know exactly when it is. The Catholic Church still tends to insist that it's the 25th of December. At least the latest thing when I looked it up, I found an explanation defending that perspective. That's as good a day as any. It's what the day that most of us follow. The Orthodox Church, I think they follow something like January the 7th, 6th or 7th. How did they get how did they get split apart? The Orthodox Church followed a different calendar for a long time. And there's a drift. It's because of a different way that they calculate leap years or something like that, leap days and so on. So the Orthodox Christmas was drifting a day every now and then, and by the time they got around to jumping on the same calendar everybody else has, the days, their December 25th did not line up with everybody else's December 25th. And so when they made the jump to the new calendar, they did not stick with the number 25. They stuck with the same day of the year, which is whatever. And who cares? That's the whole thing. When I went to look it up, I found 3 or 4 fairly logical calculations about what day it had to be. All of them made some pretty good sense. No two agreed. September 16th through the 29th, 4 BC. March the 20th, 6 BC. Ta-da! Or November, something or another. March the 28th, April the 1st, 6 BC, 4 BC. It all has to do with what day you anchor your calculation to, what calendar you're playing with, and what historical occurrences are in the story. So most of them insist that Herod was alive when Jesus was born. Since Herod died in 4 BC, that puts Jesus' birthday back to, depending on how you calculate it, somewhere between the 4 BC and 6 BC. If you leave Herod out of the story, Herod only shows up in one of the Gospels. I think it's Matthew and Luke are the only two that describe the birth and the circumstances leading up to it. So, do we care? Probably not. What's important? In fact, if you poke around in the New Testament long enough, you will discover that there is not a tradition among the Jews to celebrate birthdays, and there wasn't, because they thought that birthday celebration was a pagan thing. So there's no instruction or commandment, anything like that, to celebrate the birth of Jesus. So nobody kept the records. So we really don't know. And it really doesn't matter. We don't celebrate it because we're told to. We celebrate it because we choose to. We want to. We think it's a great thing. It's a wonderful gift. It was a spectacular moment in history without the spectacle. because it kind of occurred sort of quietly. So, we don't know the exact day. And do we care? No, we more or less standardize on the 25th of December worldwide, more or less. And that'll work. That'll keep right on working. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, mighty God, for sending Jesus. And I think he likes that we celebrate Jesus' birthday. Now we've kind of missed out on the real meaning of it. We commercialized the stink out of it, right? That's not a good thing. We're looking at a materialist perspective on the whole thing. That's not really too cool. And then and we've got these other fables like Santa Claus and stuff like that. But in there, under all that dross on top, there is God sending his Son to pay for us. Pretty cool. Thank you, Lord. So, go have a Merry Christmas. So in this segment, I'm going to comment very shortly, or very shortly. Shortly, that means very soon. That's not what I meant to say. I'm going to comment, but not extensively. I'm going to make a short little comment, we'll get there, about the news item that popped up not too long ago that set a few people's hair on fire, where Trump has said we should annex Greenland. He doesn't want to annex Greenland, but we won't know what he wants until he gets it. If you've read the book, The Art of the Deal, you know that he never starts out with what he wants. He always starts out with something that's way beyond what he wants. And then he waits for a counteroffer. And counteroffers somewhere beyond what the other guy's willing to go for. And then they jockey back and forth until they eventually get to something they can agree on. And both parties get something they want. And that's what he calls a deal. The Art of the Deal. It's a book. He wrote it. Pretty cool. But if you know how he operates, it's not too big a surprise that he said he wanted to annex Greenland. And I figure, if is it Norway? If the country that owns Greenland were willing to get rid of it, they'd tell him what the price is, and he'd probably be stunned, shocked, and amazed and go for it. But no, they don't want to give it up, and he doesn't really want to annex it. But he wants something. Maybe a much larger military presence. Maybe an agreement, a mutual defense pact or something like that. Because it's a strategic place. It sits on what's known as the Northwest Passage. During the summer months, if they're unusually warm months, there's a way you can sail around the tip of Alaska, across the top of Canada, and down into the Atlantic Ocean. And it's not open all year round, but it's a very strategic spot when it comes to dominance of the Arctic. So He perceives that Russia is a rogue state, that they are trying to rebuild the Russian Empire. He's been known to look down the road beyond tomorrow afternoon, unlike some politicians, maybe even unlike most. And he's thinking ahead, and he wants something. But he doesn't want to own Greenland yet. So it'll be interesting. He's a fun guy to watch. Well, that's that. One more segment. Short segment. I just wanted to say Merry Christmas. Frohe Weihnachten. Feliz Navidad. Joyeux Noel. Travel with God.